How did curry get from being an exotic dish to becoming the cornerstone of British cuisine? In today's video, we are going to discuss all about the history of curry, where it originated, and how it evolved over time. And I'll also give some examples of the best curry in the world according to the Guinness World Records. It is impossible to say exactly when or where the concept of curry actually started because many different spices and techniques were used throughout history by many different cultures and then adapted over time. The word curry itself may have come from the Tamil word curry, which means sauce. The word then made its way up into Hindi as curry, meaning curry. There are records that show that early forms of curry were used in India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Thailand, and many other countries long before it became what we know today. For example, the ancient Greeks described a dish called masaman, which was spiced meat cooked with vinegar and served with bread. The Romans wrote about a dish called garam, which was a fermented fish sauce. And in China, there was a dish called ya jiang rou, which was a spicy pork dish with pickled vegetables. All of these dishes were precursors to what would eventually become curry. It wasn't until the 18th century that the modern version of curry began to take shape. During this time, European colonizers were traveling to India and other parts of Asia, and they were exposed to new spices and cooking techniques. They brought these back to Europe and adapted them to their own cuisine. One of the earliest written recipes for a curry dish can be found in an English cookbook called The Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy, which was published in 1747 by Hannah Glass. The recipe is called A Way of Making Good Curry, and it includes ingredients such as butter, ghee, flour, salt, pepper, cloves, nutmeg, mace, cinnamon, turmeric, ginger, chili, and lemon juice. It doesn't sound very similar to a modern curry, does it? But it was during the colonial era that the British developed their love affair with curry. When Britain colonized India in the 18th century, they introduced new ingredients to the subcontinent, such as potatoes and tomatoes, and they also brought back Indian spices to Britain. This led to a fusion of flavors that resulted in the British curry we know today. During the Victorian era, curry became very popular in Britain, and it was often served at special occasions. People would go to great lengths to get their hands on a good curry recipe, and cookbooks were filled with tips and tricks for making the perfect dish. In 1838, one of the earliest known Indian restaurants opened in London, and soon afterwards, curry houses started popping up all over the city. These restaurants were frequented by wealthy businessmen and aristocrats who were looking for an exotic dining experience. However, many of these places were also frequented by members of the armed forces who were stationed in India, and they longed for a taste of home while they were away. By the 20th century, curry had become a staple of British cuisine, and it was no longer seen as an exotic or foreign dish. Curry is now the most popular takeout food in Britain, and it is a favorite among people of all social classes. There are thousands of curry houses across the country, and new ones are opening all the time. But let's talk about the best curry and the worst curry ever made according to the Guinness World Records. Let's start with the largest curry. The largest curry ever made was cooked in New Delhi, India, on March 21st, 2013. It was made to promote tourism in the city and to break the previous record of 5,600 meals, set in 2011. The new record was 92,631 portions of curry served at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium. According to Guinness World Records, a curry must include meat or poultry, fish, seafood, fruit, or vegetables cooked in a sauce seasoned with turmeric. The sauce is traditionally served over rice or another grain, such as roti or naan. For the record-breaking curry, they chose chicken tikka masala, a popular British Indian dish. The sauce for this particular dish typically includes tomatoes, onions, garlic, yogurt, and a blend of spices such as cumin, coriander, chili powder, paprika, and garam masala. The chicken is usually marinated in a yogurt and spice mixture before being grilled or broiled and then added to the sauce. The dish is then served with rice or naan bread. This must have been quite the task to coordinate serving 92,000 meals. That's enough to feed over 230,000 people. But how about the biggest serving of curry in the UK? On January 26, 2008, Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club in England hosted the largest curry in Europe. They served 10,500 helpings of chicken tikka masala. I wonder if anyone was left hungry after that. Now, let's move on to the hottest curry. This must have been quite painful. On December 7th, 2013, Paul Jackson from Blackwood, South Wales, United Kingdom ate the hottest curry in the world, appropriately named Ghost Reaper Curry. The restaurant that prepared the dish was Cardiff City House. The sauce was based on habanero peppers and reapers, which are some of the hottest chili peppers in the world. Paul managed to eat the entire meal without any problems, but he did have to sign a waiver before doing so. Another interesting fact about spicy foods is that capsaicin, the compound responsible for the spiciness of peppers, can actually help boost your metabolism and burn calories. So maybe eating spicy food isn't such a bad idea if you're trying to lose weight. But how about the mildest curry? Well, there isn't really such a thing as a mild curry, but there are definitely some curries that are less spicy than others. Korma, for example, is a mild curry that is often served to those who don't like spicy food. It is a rich and creamy dish that is made with nuts and raisins, and that's typically served with lamb or chicken. Then there's butter chicken, which is another popular mild curry. It's a tomato-based dish with a buttery sauce that's made with cream and butter. It's usually served with chicken or sometimes other meats or vegetables. Rogan Josh is a bit spicier than butter chicken, but it's still considered to be a mild curry by some standards. It's a Kashmiri dish that's made with lamb and a blend of spices including cardamom, cloves, cinnamon, and black pepper. So those are just a few examples of mild curries. Of course, there are many more. And if you know of any others, feel free to share them in the comments below. So now let's look at the weirdest curry. On February 13th, 2009, Kevin Stratford from the UK ate a chocolate curry containing beef, lobster, duck, and gold leaf at the Tamarind restaurant in London. It was created by Atul Kakar, who is one of the most famous Indian chefs in Britain. The dish was part of a charity event that raised money for the Children's Liver Disease Foundation. Well, that was a weird combination. What about the most expensive curry? On November 16th, 2013, Richard Icobos paid £2,000 for a 24-karat gold Versace plate of food at the Mayfair restaurant in London. It was made by celebrity chef Atul Kakar. The price of the plate of food included the cost of the gold plate, which was hand-painted by a team of artists. This is quite ironic since curry is normally considered to be a cheap and cheerful dish. Speaking of cheap, how about the cheapest curry? On October 16th, 2012, Jonathan Downey from the UK bought a 10p chicken korma ready meal from Iceland Foods Limited. It was a TV ready meal deal that he got for 10p. What about the longest lasting curry? Well, this is kind of hard to verify, but there are stories of curries that have lasted for days or even weeks. One of the most famous tales is of a curry that was cooked in a village in India, and it was kept warm over an open fire for 3 weeks. The curry was made to celebrate the arrival of the then Viceroy of India, Lord Curzon. He was so impressed by the dish that he decided to have it served to him every day for 3 weeks. And finally, let's talk about the oldest curry. As I mentioned earlier, it's difficult to say exactly when curry was invented. But there are ancient texts from India that date back thousands of years that mention the use of spices and herbs in cooking. These texts include the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Mahabharata. The earliest written recipe for a curry dish, however, dates back to the 18th century. As I mentioned earlier, it was published in an English cookbook called The Art of Cookery Made Plain and Easy. The recipe is called A Way of Making Good Curry, and it includes ingredients such as butter, ghee, flour, salt, pepper, cloves, nutmeg, mace, cinnamon, turmeric, ginger, and chili and lemon juice. So there you have it. That's a brief history of curry, where it originated and how it evolved over time. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment below to let me know what you thought. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.